In politics today, the problem isn't a lack of information. Far from it. We're actually drowning in numbers, in reports, and data. The real challenge, the central challenge, is finding the human story hidden inside all of that. So how does a leader take a dense spreadsheet full of statistics and turn it into a message? A message that people can connect with, that inspires them, and frankly, that builds a path to victory. That's the question we're going to get into today. Take a look at this. Behind almost every significant political move, there's a document that looks something like this one. It's dense. It's filled with what we call raw intelligence, cold, hard numbers. This is the bedrock on which campaigns are often built. But just look at it for a moment. It's completely impersonal, isn't it? It's just data. On its own, this piece of paper can't speak to a single voter. It has no heart. So that brings us right to the heart of the matter. The core question is this. How do you build a bridge from that cold page of data to the very real, beating heart of a community? How do you craft a narrative for a leader that feels authentic, that shows genuine respect for the voter, and is also strategically sound enough to win? That's the puzzle. All right, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to walk through this transformation step by step. First, we'll talk about the framework designed to solve this exact problem. Then we'll dig into the rules of the road that guide it. After that, we'll see it in action with a real-world case study. And finally, we'll zoom out to understand the much bigger purpose driving this entire approach. Okay, let's make this concrete. We're going to look at a specific case study, the Noklak Constituency in Nagaland. The intelligence coming out of this region is incredibly rich. It tells you everything about the demographics, the key economic pressures, the deep-seated sentiments of the voters. But, and this is the crucial part, a report like that doesn't just hand you a plan on a platter. It shows you what people are worried about, but it doesn't tell a leader how to offer credible hope. And that is the gap we need to close. Now, to bridge that gap, a very different kind of system was engineered. It's called the Political Neural OS. The best way to think about it is, it's a framework. It's a way of thinking that's specifically designed to look past the numbers on the page and get to the human context underneath. We're talking about understanding the local culture, the reality of the daily struggles, and the shared aspirations of the community. And at the very core of this entire framework, there's a very specific mode of operation. It's called the agent builder. Now, its job isn't simply to analyze information. That's the easy part. Its purpose is to use that information to construct a complete strategic identity, a doctrine, if you will, for a leader. It takes all that raw intelligence from a place like Noklak and helps build a story, a narrative that feels true and authentic to that specific community. It's about creation, not just calculation. So you might be wondering, how does this actually work in practice? The simplest analogy is to think of a master chef preparing a meal. The raw intelligence report, that's your fresh local ingredient. Then you have a very specific set of narrative protocols, that's the recipe. The agent builder itself, that's the chef. And the final dish, it's a carefully composed, human-centric narrative, a story that a leader can tell with conviction and a community can actually believe in.
But of course, any great chef doesn't just throw things together. They follow a recipe, a very strict set of guiding principles. And these rules, this recipe, is what's truly fascinating, because they're not just about processing information, they are designed from the ground up to ensure that the final story, the final narrative, is always built on a foundation of empathy, of respect, and of clear, honest adult-to-adult communication.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The system operates under a very strict set of creative constraints. You can see on the screen, there's a list of words that are absolutely forbidden in the final output. All the technical jargon is stripped away. Why? To make sure the language never, ever sounds cold, distant, or robotic. And at the same time, it's required to adopt a specific voice, one of calm authority, of genuine empathy rooted in the local culture. The goal is simple, really. Speak to people like people about the things that actually matter in their lives. This core principle is enforced by something called a content firewall. It's a simple but absolute rule. Zero technical jargon is allowed to pass through into the final narrative. This is to guarantee that the story is always about human connection, not about the machinery that helped build it. And this commitment to clarity and directness, it's not just a stylistic choice. It's rooted in our constitutional values. It's about upholding the dignity of the individual and enabling informed public speech, which must always be delivered with a sense of responsibility and deep respect for the audience. And this internal directive, this quote from the protocol, really captures the soul of the entire philosophy. Use culturally rooted, respectful storytelling. And look at the examples given: soil, seasons, livelihoods, everyday dignity. It's a command to build stories not around abstract policies, but around the absolute fundamentals of life. It's about the earth under your feet, the work you do with your hands, and the basic human search for a dignified life. In the end, it all comes down to respect.
Okay, so that's the theory, that's the recipe. But what does the final dish actually look like? Let's go back to that report from the Noklak Constituency. Let's see how these rules and this philosophy take raw intelligence and transform it into a powerful, real narrative for a leader on the ground.
So, where do we begin? We start with the foundational facts on the ground. The report identifies the primary tribal communities, the Yimkyong and the Hyamnyungan Nagas. Then it distills their key grievances, the things that keep them up at night, the issues that will absolutely decide their vote. What are they? Roads, jobs, and security. Simple, powerful, and real. This is our raw material. From these raw ingredients, the agent builder doesn't just produce a slogan. It constructs a complete, coherent framework. In this case, it's called the Chatramukha Doctrine, a four-faced strategy. And I want to be clear, this is not just a messaging plan. It's a comprehensive blueprint for action. It organizes the entire campaign into four clear, distinct pillars: the electoral ground game, the organizational structure, the public narrative, and the resources needed to make it all happen. And right here, this is the magic. This is the transformation made visible. Look at the left side of the table. You see the dry, clinical language from the grievance data, chronic road and bridge gaps. Now look to the right. It becomes a powerful, human-centric narrative focus. Our road pledge. The data point, few job opportunities for youth, is transformed into a clear promise: jobs for Noklak youth. It's a direct, almost alchemical translation of people's pain points into a doctrine of credible promises. But you have to understand, this entire process, it has a purpose that goes far beyond just winning an election. The real goal is to design a foundation for effective governance before you even take office. By building the entire campaign strategy directly from the documented core needs of the community, a leader isn't just prepared to win power, they're prepared to know exactly what to do with that power from day one. And why does this level of detail, this level of respect, matter so much in a place like Noklak? Well, this number tells you everything you need to know. The average voter turnout here is consistently above 89%. In some cycles, it's gone past 95%. This is not a cynical or disconnected electorate. These are deeply, deeply engaged citizens who take their vote very seriously. They vote with purpose, and they demand and deserve serious, responsive leadership. Now, to serve that public interest responsibly, this entire system has to operate within very strict ethical guardrails. Of course, all analysis must be in full compliance with the Representation of the People Act. But it goes deeper. The approach is guided by the core privacy principles laid out in India's DPDP framework. This means that any information is used to understand broad community needs with consent, not to target individuals. It's about building a doctrine on a foundation of trust and respect for privacy, ensuring the public good is always the primary focus. And all of this brings us back to this central philosophy, the core idea that drives this entire endeavor. It's a powerful reframing of what an election truly is. An election is not just a contest for power. It is, or it should be, a systematic process of data engineering for governance. The ultimate goal is not just victory, but building better, more responsive, more effective governance for all the people. And so that leaves us with a final and, I think, a vital question to ponder. If you can systematically and respectfully decode the genuine needs of a community and then build a leader's entire doctrine around meeting those needs, can that process create more responsive, more empathetic leaders? Can it lead to better governance? Can it help create leaders who are not just powerful, but are truly purposeful? If you want to become a people-centric leader and uplift your constituency, get in touch with blueprintstrategies.ai at mgr@blueprintstrategies.ai or call 80420-41602. Purpose Beyond Politics.